basically, what warrants the death penalty?
If you look at it sort of like a concept, like if you had like a triangle and the bottom was all the homicides, as you go up higher and higher in the triangle, pretty soon when you get near the point at the top is where the death penalty starts coming in. So it's not all homicides, it's just, relatively few that would be considered the most serious. And there are specific categories. There's like 20 categories of murders that can be considered for the death penalty. And it would be the most serious ones, like killing more than one person, killing a policeman, killing a politician, killing somebody during a robbery, killing somebody during like a sex offense, the really serious things like that, as opposed to killing somebody during an argument, say, or killing somebody by accident or things like that obviously would not be a death penalty kind of situation. So it's the most serious at the top, where the death penalty can even be considered.
So really, it's only used for the most heinous crimes.
Yeah. The ones I worked on were, when I was working on it as a prosecutor, one of them was like 2 murders for money, killing 2 people for money, strangling and hanging them. Another one was killing 6 people for sexual reasons, sexually motivated killing of 6 people. Those ones I prosecuted, the ones I defended, killing somebody during a robbery, killing somebody during a rape, killing 2 people and then burning down the house afterwards. So those are what you consider pretty serious, even within the realm of murders. I've worked on probably, as a defense attorney, prosecutor, and judge for that matter, I've worked on probably 50 other murder cases that would not be considered as serious as those, but they were still murders.
So when you were a prosecutor, like what would make you choose to pursue the death penalty? Just the amount of like the situation, or is it just like what they did, like the horrible
combination of the seriousness of the crime and the background, maybe of the person. If the person had a bad record, that would be something you'd consider. But like with the one who killed 6 people, that obvious, they were all, it happened to be a gay thing as opposed to a straight thing as far as sex goes. But it was a guy who was just killing all these people that he was dating, and they were all harmless victims, and then he would kill them. So that, obviously I viewed as extremely serious to be going around randomly killing that many people. Example, or and the fellow who killed 2 people over money had a legitimate sort of a argument with the male victim, but his wife just happened to be home and he hung her. So she had nothing to do with it. So that made it extra serious in my mind that he took an innocent victim like the wife and hung her when he really didn't have any issue with her. So that would be something that would make it worse than the usual kind of a killing.
Yeah. When you were representing the defendant, mm-hmm. and the prosecution was vying for the death penalty, mm-hmm. Did you? It's a different perspective, I guess, because when you're a prosecutor, you're going for it. But did you think it was just for the prosecution to use it in those circumstances?
To try, you mean?
Yeah.
The cases they tried for it, I thought, I probably had 10 cases over the years as a defense attorney where they could have tried for the death penalty, and I think there were only 3 or 4 where they did, and I thought in those cases that it was legitimate for them to try to get the death penalty. 2 of the people where they did get the death penalty, where my clients did get the death penalty, were arguably very evil people. A lot of different people get involved in crimes, but most of them aren't really evil. And the two of the ones that got the death penalty, I think, were the kinds of people we would generally consider to be pretty evil. The last case I did where they didn't get the death penalty was somebody that I thought was
as a prosecutor, did you ever win and actually get the death penalty?
The only two cases where I was going for it were the two I told you.
Oh.
The guy with the 6 murders ended up killing himself in jail before we ever got to trial.
Oh.
So obviously that never happened. And the other one with the 2 killings, for various reasons, he did not get it. He got life without parole, but not the death penalty.
So my last question would be on the situation, or on the controversy, I guess, of the death penalty. Many people don't like it just because think it's inhumane. Other people do think it's a just punishment. What's your personal opinion? Do you think that it should be implemented, or do you think that life without parole is a better form of punishment?
I personally prefer life without parole because our system does sometimes make mistakes, and innocent people do occasionally get convicted, not often, but occasionally. Death penalty also is an extremely expensive and slow process, and generally doesn't result in anybody getting executed anyway. So it seems not to be worth too much. The 2 clients that I have on death, that I told you of mine that went to death row, have been there for 25 years, and they're nowhere near getting executed yet. So it's been a long, expensive process that doesn't seem to me to really be worth it. So that's kind of my personal opinion. I have noticed that jurors very often come in thinking they know about the death penalty because they've answered a question on a poll or voted in an election or something, but it hits them very differently when they have to actually consider it in court. And it's a whole different emotional and intellectual decision for jurors when they actually have to deal with it. And the other thing I've noticed in the last case I've tried, and I've talked to other lawyers in the last couple of years too, is that the public right now is much less pro-death penalty than it was back when I was a DA, for whatever reason. And when we've been picking juries over the last 20 years, you can see the attitude of the public's kind of changed, and many more people are skeptical about the death penalty now. I think probably because there's been so much publicity about innocent people that occasionally get convicted. So that would be kind of my own viewpoint. But I'm not one of the ones that thinks it's totally immoral to have a death penalty. I just would prefer not to, but I'm kind of in the middle about it in the sense that some people feel very strongly it's immoral, and I don't go that far.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, Nathan, if you need any more, call back.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.
I think it went.